Don't you want to improve every relationship in your life? Why, yes. Don't you want to restore your self-love and self-worth? I do. And don't you want to reconnect with your authentic self? I do. And sweetie, you need to heal from your past trauma, hurt, or just general issues. Hello, welcome to my channel, 100 Days with Kaja. We are on day 49 of building our personal constitution. Yay! Our personal constitution is a living, breathing document that has our boundaries, our standards, our expectations for our lives. So whenever we feel like an emotional wreck, we have a place to reground ourselves. So the first thing I want you to do in your personal constitution is to create a safe space for you to open up. When you are working through your past hurt, trauma, or issues, and I'm using trauma very loosely because that could mean different things to a lot of people. It could be severe, it could be mild, whatever that range. But when you're working through it, you don't want to be in a space where you're fearful or you'll get interrupted. There are 3 kinds of safe spaces that you can create. 1, a nature-based space. This could be a park, botanical garden, a greenhouse, a trail or a path in a forest, lake, river, ocean, a hammock, or even a garden nook. 2, public but quiet spaces. This could look like a corner at a library, a church, a mosque, or a spiritual center, and even a cafe during their non-peak hours. 3, intentional personal space. This could be your room when you set up candles, or a corner where you have a bunch of cute and comfy pillows, a bubble bath, maybe your parked car. And you can even do a tent or an indoor fort. The second thing you should do is define your focus area. A couple of years ago, I decided to fast. And during that fasting, I did a lot of journaling. I spent a day writing about things that I was proud of myself for doing. Another day, I would journal about things that I wish I would change. And other days, I would write through any past issues, deep-rooted issues that I had. That rotation of journaling kept things interesting for me. If you're constantly writing the same thing over and over and over, you'll get bored and you're less likely to try to work through it. These are some focus areas that you can focus on. 1, and this is a heavy one, self-love, self-image, self-worth. You can break these 3 things up, but I do recognize that they are all closely tied together. The second one, romantic relationships and physical intimacy. You are more than free to separate romantic relationships and intimacy, but I do understand that when you have an issue in one, it affects the other. So that's why I put them together. 3, money and finances, and success and failure. The reason I put these 2 things together is because they are typically directly linked to each other. When you have a deep sense of fear of success through your parents or your grandparents or from your childhood, that affects your finances. And let's say you have a lack of money, whether that be physically or just mentally, you feel like you're lacking money, that'll affect how you view your success or if you view yourself as a failure. The third thing I want you to do in your personal constitution is to define your schedule and your frequency. Your frequency are the number of times a week or a month that you decide that you're going to work through your trauma, past issues, or general problems. And this is directly affected by the schedule you set. Let's say you decide to work through all your trauma whenever you have an emotional trigger. That could range from once a week to 7 times a week, versus when you decide to schedule it strictly on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Let's say you decide you don't care what day or how often you need to work through it, but you will only do it in the morning, or you will only work through it at night. The fourth thing I want you to do is to define your medium. Everyone doesn't work through trauma, problems, or issues the same. And trying to be like everyone else will drive you away from actually being able to work on yourself and get anywhere. So your medium could be video recording, voice recording, journal entry, or even movement. As I mentioned earlier, I fasted, and during that fasting time, I journaled a lot. But since then, I found that incorporating movement whenever I'm working through an emotion is a lot more helpful for me. But I do like the idea of a voice recording, and maybe in the future that's something that I'll do. It's your own personal preference, and you also don't have to make it boring. Perhaps you want to journal, but then take that journal entry and make it a scrapbook. Honestly, I thought of that idea right on the spot. I might have to do that because I love scrapbooking. And 5, this is how you can safely work through the trauma, issues, problems, whatever you want to call it. The first thing you need to do is to describe the memory. Be unbiased, just describe what you saw, what was happening, what you smelled, perhaps what you were wearing. Truly visualize the moment. Second thing you want to do is describe how you felt. The reason this is so important and is linked to the third thing that you need to do is because you will begin to remember other moments that were similar. And the third thing you need to do is actually to describe moments that were similar or adjacent to the one that you're currently describing. Sometimes we believe that a certain memory is the root cause of a trouble that you have, an issue that you have, a trauma that you have. But when we start actually describing and visualizing how we felt and asking ourselves, why do you feel that way? Why do you feel that way? Explain, 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 because for so long, we don't explain. Then you say, well, when I was 3, ooh, we haven't unlocked that memory. What happened when you was 3? What happened when you were 3? And then from there, you start talking about what happened when you were 3, and you're like, oh, now I understand why it bothered me so much. Because you weren't able to process something that perhaps wasn't as hurtful, but you didn't understand what you were feeling, so you internalized it. And I'm saying this as someone who's speaking from their own experience. This is quite literally something that happened to me as I was journaling. Okay, we're gonna take a little break. Let's take a little break. I was journaling, right? And I'm talking about this moment. I'm getting emotional, and I'm describing. And I kid you not, in the middle of me writing about what was happening, I started writing about something completely different. I said, whoa, what is this? What is this? Right? And a girl was bawling because I had no idea how connected they were. And then that connected to another thing and another thing and another thing. And I was like, oh, I'm not okay. But it's okay. Since then, look at me now. Look at me now. The fourth thing you want to do is to describe the negative and the positive impact of that memory. There are some memories that are very negative. However, trying to pull something positive out of it will make us not as angry with ourselves or angry with our life. Let's say something happened to you, right? And you're like so mad it happened to you, it messed up how you viewed yourself. However, it forced you to create more boundaries and standards, or to learn to stand your ground. This allows you to have a sense of it wasn't all for nothing. The fifth thing you need to do is to describe how you want to move forward. You don't have to have the answers. You don't have to have a game plan. You don't have to have a solution. Okay, when I was fasting and I was working through whatever issues I was having, right? At the end of it, of course, a girl was bawling. And I said, you know what? Moving forward, I want to be more emotionally available to myself. I had no idea what that meant, but words have power. I put that intention into the world and in my mind. So whenever there was a moment where I could show emotion, I'd be like, remember what you said, you want to be more emotionally available, not only to others, but to yourself. And with time, I began to learn what that looked like. And lastly, honestly, my favorite thing is you want to EFT tap positive affirmations throughout the entire process. EFT tapping is pretty much when you tap on your body. I usually tap on my chest. Some people tap their temples or around their eyes. Some people their hands. But again, the chest is for me, and it helps you get out your emotions. The reason I pair it with positive affirmations because usually when you tap, you get all that negative emotions out, and you don't want to feel empty. You want to fill yourself with good, loving words. As always, if you're having any trouble with writing your own personal constitution, definitely check out my Substack where you can see my personal constitution and use it as a reference to yours. Like, comment, subscribe. I love you guys, and I'll see you in our next video.